Lord Tremendous here, got another battle report here for you. Another Lone Wolf GT Prep battle report, 2,300 points. 'Tis I, Lord Tremendous of the Varangur, versus Gnome Runner of the Ratkin. And honestly, due to me having to travel for work, this is going to be the last battle report I post before the tournament. Basically, throughout the entire month of April, I've been out of town. And no, I didn't bring my models with me. So, yeah, by the time I get back, it'll be like the week before the tournament, and I won't be able to get a game in prior to that, because after being gone for a little while, you know, the family kind of wants you around, not at the game store nerding it up. So, in order to keep everybody happy in the family, this will be the last prep game I get. So the list that you see in this game is the list I'm taking to Lone Wolf. It's already been submitted and approved, and my first game will be against the legendary James Valdez, who I will promptly beat into the ground and use him as a single stepping stone towards table 1 at the end of game 5. Yes, all the arrogance. I'm kidding, he's probably going to stomp me, but it'll still be a lot of fun. I haven't played James in a long time, and I'm looking forward to it. But anyway, I'm rambling. Let's get it on, because this is an excellent game, and I'm excited to show it to you. Here's the list. It's its final form, too. It can't change. I've got my King on a Chimera. He's got Brutal and the Fog, because it's just a good kit. I've got a Chieftain. He's still mounted. He's got Brutal and the Staying Stone, because it's a good kit. And I've got 2 Naked Scalds. I know people are like, you should put something on them. I couldn't find the points to do it. I also brought a Devourer, because, well, wait till you see the model. That's really why I brought it. I wanted to have a big monster on the table other than the King on a Chimera, and the Devourer allows me to do that. Just wait. It's worth it. The bulk of my list, though, consists of my Warband Horde with 2-handed weapons and, of course, the Crystal of Retribution. I just like having the Horde brick that runs out there and explodes, and you have to deal with it. You can't really shoot it off the table unless you concentrate all your shooting on it, and hopefully by then I've gotten a hold of your shooting, but we'll see. 2 units of Tundra Wolf troops, because I need chaff. A unit of Sons of Korgan, a regiment with Fury and the Blade of Slashing, because I had the extra points. I have a 2nd unit of Sons of Korgan. It's a regiment with Fury and the Mace of Crushing. Again, I had some extra points at the end, so I just threw them around on the units to make them a little bit better. I have a unit of Mounted Sons, also a regiment with Fury, and then I have a Direfang Rider Horde with Fury and the Brew of Haste. Yeah, that unit is devastating. I gave them the Brew of Haste just so that they had Speed 7. Speed 6 is just a little too slow. I want to be able to outrange ogres, you know what I mean? But anyway, that's the list I'm taking to Lone Wolf, and I'm pretty happy with it. And, well, in this battle report, you'll see why. I did not get my opponent's list, unfortunately. I just forgot to get a picture of it or a copy. I suck. I'm sorry. I have no idea what he took. But hopefully he will watch this. I know he will, because he likes to comment about how I post things he doesn't want to see. And hopefully he'll put it in the comment section, so all will not be lost. So you hear that, Gnome Runner? Post your list, scumbag. And here's deployment. So, yeah, that's a lot of rats. He's got a lot of slave hordes. He's got a slave legion. He's got a couple of the elite units, I think. And then, of course, he's got, like, Doom engines or whatever the hell they're called, and a bunch of characters. And then over there on the hill on the left side, he's got some shooty units, which just terrify me. For my part, though, on the left flank, that you can't see it, unfortunately, because it's a bad picture, but on the very far left flank there, I've got my Chieftain mounted, and his job is to shoot past all that and get into that hill and take those shooters out. As you can see, the flank is exposed, so hopefully he can get in there. I know he's not going to double his attacks or anything like that, but it just makes me feel better, and the counter charge will be pretty much impossible if I do it right. Next to them are the Direfang Riders and a unit of Warhounds behind them. The idea was that the Warhounds are going to shoot past. I just wanted to try it out, make sure that it was legal, and if anybody was going to question it, I wanted to get the rule figured out now. So that's why they're set up like that. In the center, I've got the Sons of Korgan on the left, the Blade of Slashing. I've got a what's it called, the Scald right behind them, and then I got my Warband regiment right there, getting ready to blow up for the cause. They're gonna go right into the forest too. To hell with it. Next to them, that huge, magnificent, only base-coated model is my Devourer. It's a model from the Pantheon Arena board game or whatever. The owner of the store got it in a trade from somebody and had a bunch of really badass models in it. And long story, I like to gamble with Magic the Gathering cards. I'll buy a booster pack and sometimes get a really expensive card. And I found a card. I did it, and I bought a card that was worth $190. So I was able to buy that model off of him when I sold him the card. So I was pretty excited about that. Right next to him is another Scald in the water there. And then next to that is another Tundra Wolf unit with the Sons of Korgan with the Mace of Crushing by them. And their job is just kill rats. My King on a Chimera and my, what's it called? Oh, I'm sorry. No, on the right side there, that's where my Dire Fangs are. On the left side is my Mounted Sons. So I apologize. But their job is to just protect my flank. They do a lot of damage. They're pretty hard to hurt. And hopefully they'll be able to take these rats out before they're able to really do anything and protect my right flank. That's the hope. We'll see what happens, and that's it for deployment. Here's top one, and I got to go first, and I fire forward. I've got no shooting in this army. There's a little bit. I think my Scalds have throwing axes, ha ha ha, and my King has a breath weapon, but he's not going to be able to get within 12 inches of anything, because that would be cheating. Not able to do it and still shoot. So I come forward pretty much all the way. I use the forest to the best of my ability. I know I'm going to take some shots. I just don't care. He's got to come forward at some point. He does have shooting, but as you can see, my Scald is in a really good position to charge next turn, so I'm looking forward to that. Everything is in good position, and all I can do is hope that he comes forward. That's it for my movement. That takes us to bottom one after movement because I had nothing else going on. And luckily for me, he does come forward quite a bit, actually. Yeah. So, okay. He fires forward like so, and his stuff goes into the forest, and I don't think it's close enough for me to charge yet, but that Legion is, and that's a flank for my big old warband unit, and that's fine with me. I'm all for that. In the center there, though, I don't believe my sons have a charge, although those are just slaves. I think all of those horde bricks, except for the one in the back, are all slaves. So I'm okay with the idea of charging into them. Thing about this list, too, is he's got so many models on the table, he's traffic jamming himself pretty good. So I'm not overly concerned on the idea of him being able to outmaneuver me just because he's got so many bodies on the table. But we'll see. On the left side there, one of his Doom engines or whatever the hell they're called, charge into my Tundra Wolves, which is perfectly fine. If he smokes them, my Mounted Sons are going to countercharge and eat them alive. And I'm not worried about slave rats doing anything to my Mounted Sons. But yeah, that's it for his movement. We go into the pansy phase, and of course his stuff opens up on the hill into my chieftain. And he is an individual. It's harder for him to hit me, but he still is able to put 3 wounds on him. Not terrible. The other unit does the same thing, putting 2 more wounds on him for a total of 5. Needless to say, my chieftain just kind of brushes it off. One of his casters fires a lightning bolt at my Mounted Sons, doing a couple of wounds to them. Again, not bad, he's just poking at me a little bit, but it's starting to get a little insulting. And then we jump into combat. The only one we have is with this big engine thing into my Warhounds, or my Tundra Wolves, damn it. And he doesn't do many wounds. He only does 3 wounds to him. And with the Chieftain right there, I'm thinking, crap, they're going to be okay. Which, again, just kind of plays into the whole traffic jam thing. He continues to roll low, and my Tundra Wolves are perfectly fine, which is great. They're going to charge this thing next turn. Unfortunately, my Mounted Sons are just kind of out of position. I should have backed them up a little bit, but honestly, I didn't think the Wolves would stay. Live and learn. Here's top of 2 after movement, and we go in. On the right flank there, the Dire Fangs and the King and a Chimera charge those what's it called? The elite rats, like plague monks or whatever. I can't remember what they are, but they aren't slaves. There's something a little bit better than that. In the center, the Tundra Wolves and the Warband charge into the Legion. The Devourer charges into the slaves that are in the forest. The Sons of Korgan move up because I know the Devourer is going to get countercharged. I just you know, whatever. I'm pretty sure he can take that. The Scalds move up to support. And on the left flank there, the Warhounds, or I'm sorry, the Tundra Wolves, I gotta remember that. Countercharge the engine thing, figuring they can't do any worse than it did to them. And my Chieftain charges the first unit of whatever they are, ranged guys, shooters on the hill there, nails them pretty good. So I'm not in terrible placement. I got my mounted sons kind of, you know, pushed back a little bit, which sucks. The sons infantry in the forest can't really do anything right now, but they're set up for counter charges, and hopefully I'll be able to get a couple of those. But that's it for my movement. We dive into combat, and my Chieftain's able to put 3 wounds onto the little shooty unit, which is about right. He's only got 5 attacks, so 3 is about right. And since I took damage, they can't attack me now, or they can't shoot now, so that's really, really important. Luckily for me, though, they have really low nerve checks. Even with the inspiring character right there, they rout, and my Chieftain just kind of turns his face to the next unit. This could work out very well. The Tundra Wolves do not fare well at all. They bounce off this thing without doing a single wound. It was actually a little embarrassing. Well, they're about to pay for that one. The Devourer does pretty well. He goes into the unit of slaves and is able to do 6 wounds to him. It's not going to be enough to break him, but it's a solid 6, and I'll take it, because he's only got 10 attacks. So, yeah, I know he's not really a frontline troop, but I figure they're just slaves. Why not? Like I said, it wasn't going to be enough to hurt him, or to rout him or waver him, so I bounced off an inch, and I'm willing to accept the flank charge. I think it'll be good. And if the Devourer can survive it, he'll be able to set the other unit slaves up for a flank charge for my sons that are behind him and to the left. In this combat, I don't do terrible, but my warband, I really flub with them bad. Even though they've got like 50 attacks, I'm only able to do about 9 wounds. And in total, I think it's 13, because the Tundra Wolves do 4. Not as many wounds as I was expecting to put on this legion of slaves. I was really disappointed, but that's a dice game. Sometimes you're going to flub. So 50 attacks, I did 9 wounds, and then with 10, I did 4. So, yeah. Granted, they were hindered, but it still kind of ate at my lunch, you know? So, yeah, I'm not able to roll high enough to so much as even waver them. I bounce off, and life is unfair. So in this combat, I do well over 20 wounds to this elite unit, which is wonderful, and they're wavering even before I roll the nerve check. They rout handily, and my Dire Fang riders, they turn to face the next unit, and I try to shoot my Dragon Rider forward to get out of the charge arcs and everything, and I barely pull it off. So, not a bad second round. So that takes us to bottom of 2 after movement, and he counters a lot. His slaves and his Doom Engine on the left flank there charge into my Tundra Wolves that failed to do anything to the Death Engine last turn, which is really bad. Yeah, he's going to be able to countercharge the hell out of anything I charge with my mounted sons, so that's bad. His unit of slaves in the forest charge into the infantry sons, and I'm fine with that. They're going to go in there, they're going to do a handful of wounds, and then I'm going to countercharge and beat the crap out of them, and I don't have to worry about being hindered because it'll be a countercharge. So that's not terrible. It's much better than him charging into the flank of my Devourer. The slave unit that the Devourer attack countercharges him, of course. He's got something, I don't remember what it is, but it charges into the flank of my warband, which, that sucks. I didn't see it, but he's perfectly capable of doing it. It's totally legal. And I know they're going to blow up and everything like that, but I really wanted to use them to take out that Legion, and now it's looking like that's not going to happen. The Legion unit countercharges the Tundra Wolves, and on the right flank, everything turns to face the Dire Fang and the King on a Chimera. The Dire Fang are probably in a lot of trouble, but the King is just going to GTFO. He's not sticking around for that. But that's it for his movement. We jump into the Pansy phase, and the first unit of surviving shooters fires at my Chieftain trying to save their own lives, and I take 2 more wounds from that. And then we dive into combat. He does significantly better against the Tundra Wolves now that he's got more attacks, putting 8 wounds total on him. And that brings him, to 8, 9, 10, 11 wounds, and I think that is their route check. So unless they roll Snake Eyes, that unit's out of there, which gives my mounted sons something to do. The Tundra Wolves do rout this turn. There is no inspiring around, not that it would really matter. And yeah, they serve their purpose. It's just they didn't serve it correctly. It is what it is. And then my opponent does something very clever. He brings his slave unit up d6 inches, which is just, it ends up an inch away from the Mounted Sons, and then he backs up the engine. I can't charge the engine now. There's no way for me to do it, so I have to charge the slaves, which means that elite unit of rats and that engine in front of me is going to countercharge my Mounted Sons. Very clever move. My Mounted Sons are in a lot of trouble. In this combat, just like my Tundra Wolves, granted they're hindered, the slaves bounce off the Sons. They can't do a single wound to them, bounce off an inch and go, oh, we gotta work on our life choices. So I'm pretty happy about that. In this combat, the slaves deliver 4 wounds to Devour, not the 6 that he gave them last turn, but a decent amount. So, I may have overestimated the Devour. We'll find out. The big old brute unit, I don't know what it is, some sort of trolls, I don't remember, I'm sorry. But it ends up doing 17 wounds to him, because he's got double his attacks. It's really, really painful. But hey, worst comes worst, they blow up, let's see. They don't blow up, no, they waver. Yeah, they don't have fury or anything like that, so they're kind of stuck there, but now they're a gap, and, he couldn't back up an inch away from me because there's actually a character behind him. So I had to back an inch away from him. And, now he can't charge me again next turn. So that'll be interesting. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to countercharge, or I'm not going to be able to charge into the Legion next turn. So, again, big-ass traffic jam due to the amount of bodies on the table. More really terrible rolling on my opponent's part on this combat. A Legion. I think he has, like, I don't know, 40 attacks, 50 attacks, some insane amount of attacks. 2 wounds. 2 wounds was all I was able to do to the Tundra Wolves. It really, I think it shocked both of us, but yeah, so many bodies and so little combat ability. They bounce off as far as they can, and then the dogs finish off the 1-inch gap, and yeah, they're fine, and they're going to be able to countercharge next turn. And they will. And yeah, I survived the combat, so here's top of 3 after movement, and we go in. The Direfang Riders charge into, like, the Plague Monks or whatever the hell they are. They're not slaves on the right flank there. They're something else. They're not the vicious and elite ones. They're something else. But, yeah, they charge into there, and the hope is to just start beating them down. In the middle, the Tundra Wolves and the Scald go into the Legion, because why not? 1 extra attack from the Scald may or may not help. That is the Scald that held off the Berserker Dwarves for 3 rounds of combat, so hey, don't count them out just yet. The Devourer countercharges the horde of slaves that dared to put 4 wounds on him last turn. And in the force there, the Sons of Korgan countercharge the slaves with the other Scald, charging them in the flank. It's just 1 more attack, but she wasn't doing anything, so why not? The Mounted Sons charge into the slaves because that's their only option, and the Chieftain over there on the left flank there charges into the shooty guys because his job is to finish them off. My King of the Chimera just gets the hell out of the way. He doesn't want to be charged or countercharged or anything like that, and he's out of position now, but at least he's not dead, and that's really it for my movement. I don't believe in the pansy phase, so we go straight into combat, and my Chieftain starts us off right by doing 4 out of his 5 wounds. Right into that little unit. That's 1 more than the last one, so it's looking good. Even if they don't rout this turn, though, it's fine because they can't shoot, and that's really what the important part was. They don't rout, but they do waver, which is fine. They're not shooting, they're on their way out. Next turn, provided I'm still there, I'll be able to charge them again and finish off that unit, taking care of Shooty Hill, which is excellent. That's exactly what I want my Chieftain to do. The Mounted Sons beat the tar out of the slave unit. They do 12 wounds, only failing to wound with 8, which is good. As long as I get half, I'm happy. And this is excellent. I got more than half, 12 wounds into that unit. Who am I to complain? The unit does not break, it does not waver, we back off an inch. I back up as much as I can. As you can see, that's impassable terrain. He backs up a little bit more, but his elite unit isn't going to be able to counter, or isn't going to be able to charge me next turn, but his engine and the slaves will. So, time to see just how tough the Mounted Sons really are. My Sons units attacked this slave unit, doing 11 wounds to them. I don't believe the Scald did anything. I think she missed. It is what it is. I think she needed a 6 to hit because she was hindered. But kind of funny. And yeah, 11 wounds isn't going to be enough to hurt the Horde, but it's a start. I don't so much as even waver them. Both units back off an inch. And you know what? If they countercharge me, that's fine. I'm not too worried about it. The Devourer is able to put 7 wounds onto the slaves this turn, bringing the total up to 13. Again, it's not going to be enough to break the unit, but it's a really good, like, pump in the right direction, so I'm very happy about that. They aren't so much as even wavered, but again, I back off an inch, and it's a really good step in the right direction. The Tundra Wolves and the Scald, more symbolic than anything else, do 6 wounds. The Scald hit and wounded, which is really funny. I think that brings them up to almost 20, but it's a Legion. They're not going to break. They don't break, but they waver, if you can believe it. And so I back off an inch the best I can. As you can see, the dogs are now touching the Suns, but that's the best we could do, and they can't countercharge me next turn. So there's a really good chance I'm going to be able to take care of this unit before it does any more damage, which is excellent. In this combat over here, my Dire Fang kind of flubbed. 30 attacks, and I'm able to do 8 wounds. Just bad dice rolling. Nothing wrong with the unit, just terrible dice rolling. Yeah, 8 wounds is not going to be enough to hurt a Horde Brick. I back off an inch, and that unit contemplates its life choices. It did really good against that other unit, and this one, I don't know, maybe they dropped their weapons? Ugh, that one hurt. With that, we go over here to bottom of 3, and it's a lot of countercharging. On the left flank there is slaves countercharge my mounted sons, and the engine goes in as well, so we get to see how tough they are. In the forest, the slaves countercharge the sons, the other unit of slaves countercharge a devourer. The the horde brick of like the large infantry, they just kind of shimmy over to the right. They can't charge the warband because of the way we had to back off an inch and everything like that, so they just kind of shift over to get in a better position to countercharge something else. Both engines, they could see the Dire Fang and the slave, or not the slaves, but the Plague Monks or whatever they are, all charge a Dire Fang. And honestly, after doing 8 wounds in that combat, they deserve this. So yeah, they're probably going to get wiped off the map this next turn. But what the hell? 8 wounds, eat it. They deserve this. Other than that, his elite unit moves, and the left flank there moves to countercharge the Sons of Korgan, which makes sense because they're probably going to survive this, countercharge the slaves, kill them, and then be exposed for the big slave unit. We'll see, or the big elite rat unit. We'll see, and yeah, that's it for his movement. Nothing happens in this pansy phase, so we go into combat, and this is actually not bad. The mounted sons only take 3 wounds. Just really bad rolling on my opponent's part. 5 wounds total on the unit is not going to be enough to so much as waver them, and he backs off an inch. The best he can. Actually, he can't back off anymore because the unit behind him is blocking the slaves. The engine will back up, but the slaves, we actually basically stay in combat. I can't back away from him, he can't back away from me, so it is what it is. In this combat, the slaves put 3 wounds on the infantry sons, which, again, that's not going to be enough to so much as even make them giggle. They back off an inch and prepare to take, what, about 11 more wounds next turn? The slaves over here, they bring them up to a total of 7. So, not bad. I think he can handle that, and I got an Inspiring Scald right next to him, so he should be okay, but I'm starting to get a little nervous. I don't want to lose my Devourer right away. He's actually perfectly fine. We go into this combat over here. He sent in his little infantry, or his little character guy, to try to put another wound on this unit and blow him up so that none of his other units had to worry about it. It doesn't work. I don't think he's able to even so much as wound him. He backs up as far as he can. I back up a little bit further to keep that inch gap, and we move on. My unit is perfectly fine. What's not perfectly fine is my Dire Fang unit. They get slaughtered. 17 wounds are done to them, and like I said, that's exactly what they deserve after after only doing 8 wounds to that Horde Brick. That Horde Brick should have been devastated. They're actually the ones that did a lot of the damage, but it is what it is. They got what he deserved. They're beaten to a pulp and driven off the table. It is what it is. I think it was unfortunate. I didn't really have anything to back them up, but with that unit, I kind of assumed that they wouldn't need backup, and I was wrong. So, yeah, that sucks, but oh well, I've learned from it, and I'll use them better next game. I survived, so here's top of 4 after movement, and all the counter charges. Starting with the Chieftain, he goes back into the Gunner unit, because they have to die. My Mounted Sons countercharge the slaves, because I need to kill him. I figured, why not? The sons in the forest go after the slaves. The devourer countercharges the other slaves. The warband, the war dogs, and the scald all go into the legion. It's time to finish them off. And on the right flank there, well, what was my right flank? The plague bearers and the 2 war engines or whatever the hell he had turned to face the king, and the king said, "To hell with that." He moved his full 20 inches the hell away from there. He's in the middle of the table. I can see some stuff. I'm fine with where he's at, but the hell with that. Like, nope. Which is fine. It puts him out of position for a turn. Maybe right now I've got a great flank charge on his elite unit if they stay there. But he's got 3 units that are now completely out of position for the rest of for the next couple of turns, and that's actually huge considering it's turn 4. So yeah, this is going to be a brutal turn, and I'm looking forward to it. My chieftain, he's lost a lot of blood. He goes into combat first, and he does 2 wounds to the shooter unit, which is fine. I think that brings him up to a total of 6. Not great, but, the guy's exhausted. It's enough, though. Unit breaks, and Shooty Hill is now in complete control of the Varangur, which is the way the gods want it. Very pleased with my chieftain. The Mounted Sons are up next, and they put 9 wounds into this slave unit, which brings them up to 20, I think? 20 wounds? Something like that? I can't remember. But it's a lot. This should be enough to take the slaves out. It is. They rout like the cowards that they are, and I just turn to face the engine. We both know it's coming. I could have possibly kept it so that I could have countercharged into the elite units there, but I didn't want to even chance the fact of giving this guy a flank, so I turned, I faced it. The Mounted Sons are going to have to deal with this thing before they can get into the rest of the fight, so it is what it is. My infantry sons have had enough of the slave unit, putting 14 wounds onto them. I was like, holy crap! Yeah, I think that brings them well over 20. I think it's like 25 wounds total on this unit, which is more than enough. The slave unit dies a horrible death, and I back the sons up just a little bit. I don't want him to be in the forest, and when he countercharges me, he's got to go through it, so it is what it is. If I had been thinking, and I only saw it after while I was doing the slideshow portion of this battle report, I should have moved my Scald up in between, and then next turn he would have charged him. Yeah, it would have been a lot smarter move. Unfortunately, I'm not a smart person, and I failed horribly. Well. I guess the Devourer is getting a little woozy or something, maybe a little tired. Maybe there was just one incredibly plump and delicious rat in that one, because I only do 1 wound. Yeah, that sucked. 1 wound to the slave unit. That's gonna hurt. I mean, yeah, they lost Gerald, but they back off an inch and just kind of look at the Devourer. Maybe he's got indigestion. Maybe that was the problem. But yeah, that really sucked. This combat, it's brutal. I do well over 20 wounds to this Legion brick, and as you can see, it gets picked up. Just devastated. Finally, the Warband with 50 attacks does its thing. And I was very pleased to see that unit get picked up. The Tundra Wolves, they shoot forward about 5 inches. The Scald shoots forward 6. And the Warband turns to change formation to look forward. And yeah, there's a good chance I'm going to be able to clear these things out now, because the Sons are ready to countercharge whatever those trolls are. And, yeah, the Warband might die to characters, but they've done their job. I'm not upset how any of this went down. So, alright, I'm in good position. Here's bottom of 4 after movement, and as you can see, the model count's starting to go down and concentrated. So I got faked out. The elite unit that I thought was going to come after me, in my sons over there, did not. They charged the Devourer in the flank. His little character charged, both of his characters charged a warband, one to get out of the way of the elite unit, the other one just because, which could be bad. If they blow up a couple of characters, that's really not worth it, but yeah, well played by my opponent. Here on the left flank there, his engine charges into the Mounted Sons. It is what it is. His other little character turns to face the chieftain, going to try to lightning bolt him a little bit. The trolls charge the Tundra Wolves. The slaves countercharge the Devourer, and the stuff on the right flank there move toward the king to try to get back into this fight. Yeah, I might be in a lot of trouble here, but it's going to make for an interesting game, and I'm excited to see what happens. That's it for movement. In the pansy phase, his little individual there fires a lightning bolt at my chieftain, doing 3 more wounds to him, which is Not great because he's only got so much nerve, you know what I mean? It's enough. And even though he's inspiring, he routs and he flees off the table. Honestly, the final lightning bolt probably just fried him where he was. But he did his job. I'm not upset about it, and well played by my opponent. We dive into combat, and his weird contraption does its attacks on my mounted sons and is only able to do a single wound to them. Ha! Oh, the things I'm gonna do to you. It backs off an inch and starts looking around for backup, which won't get here in time. Combat over here, yeah, the Devourer gets devoured. 6, 12, 16, 17, 18, 19 wounds to it in total. It was already carrying 7 or 8, so this is all bad. All bad. He didn't even have the common decency to roll Snake Eyes so that he could stick around for a turn, and that sucks. However, the way he moved and everything and positioned afterwards, you see the arc on the king? I can see his elite unit, and he gave me his rear. Oh, baby. In this combat, the two characters, I think they do a wound to my warband, but they're fine. He rolls really low, and I'm perfectly fine. So they back off an inch, and it's looking like a warband gets to eat a character next turn. The weird troll things, they don't do so bad. They do a solid 8 wounds to the dogs who are already carrying 2, and I believe their nerve is 9/11. So it's not looking good for the Tundra Wolves anymore. Yeah, they skedaddle, and they're gone, but they did what they were supposed to do. I'm very much okay with that. With that over, here's top of 5 after movement, and there's a lot of charges. On the left flank there, the Mounted Sons countercharge, the dead engine thing, whatever it is. In the center, my Sons of Korgan charge into the front of the elite unit, and my King on a Chimera charges into the rear. I mean, he could see him. He could just barely see him, but we did the arc, and I could see him. And, yeah, it was a rear charge, so that's going to be brutal. My opponent wasn't happy about it, but we checked the rules. There was nothing about it. There was a discrepancy. Do you have to be able to see the flank that you're, or the side that you're going to charge? Correct me, please, in the comment section if there is. We looked through the rules. I did not see anything. They did not see anything. So we went with it. Please correct me in the comment section if there is something. Somebody asked that question in the on the Fanatics group on Facebook, and nobody said that it wasn't allowed. But if I'm missing something, please let me know. But yeah, the King goes into the rear, the Sons go into the front. That's looking really good over there. Yes, I'm going to be hindered. I don't care. The Warband charges the character in front of them. The Sons of Korgan, they move up to go after the Trolls. I can't reach them. I was out of position. So I put the Scald in front. He's going to try to do his none shall pass thing. And see if that works out for him. And yeah, that is it for my movement. We dive straight into combat because I don't have anything in the pansy phase, and I'm able to do 9 wounds in this combat to this engine. I think those are the first wounds that it's taken all game, so it's probably going to take another attack, but considering it only did 1 wound to me last turn, I'm feeling pretty confident. I literally roll out of the box. I think I roll an 11 and then a 10, which is enough to break the damn thing. The Mounted Sons turn to face the little character dude, and the character dude's like, ah! So, now I'm not going to be able to get him. He's an individual. He's slippery as hell. But it is kind of funny, though, just to think of the look on the face when that guy got blown up and the individual looks up and goes, oh, hell no. Yeah, I'm a geek, I know. In this combat, sorry about the hand picture. The other picture was actually horrible. I forgot the Scald went into. Scald did a wound. The infantry, they must have done like 10 wounds, and the character himself did about 15. This unit got the crap beat out of them. The infantry sons, the unit is obliterated. The infantry sons come forward up to an inch away from the dragon. I'm sorry, the Chimera. The King on a Chimera turns to face the slaves and the trolls, and all is right in the world. I'm very pleased. Oh yeah, and the Scald that helped. She did do a wound. She turns around like a hero and gets ready to get back into this fight somewhere. The warband beats the hell out of this character, putting 7 wounds on him. Not very good at all, but 7 wounds on a character, I'm feeling confident about that. The character dies, the warband moves up just a little bit because I'm daring something to charge them, and that's it for this combat. Alright, here's bottom of 5 after movement, and it's coming down to the wire. The slave unit is able to charge into the warband. My opponent forgot that the Crystal Retribution was in that unit, which is awesome. The rest of his stuff, the trolls, they got nothing else, so they charge the impassable Scald, and the rest of his stuff moves up around the right flank to get into this fight. That is it, though, for his movement. Oh, yeah, and his character on the left flank moves out of the way so that my mounted sons don't eat him up. But yeah, that's it for his movement. We go straight into combat, and he's able to do 6 wounds into the warband unit. He's hindered, they're slaves, but 6 wounds is 6 wounds. Considering they're carrying almost 20, they're probably going to blow up, and yay! The unit takes 12 wounds. Alright, went from 14 to 26. Unfortunately, it doesn't force the nerve check or anything like that, but yeah, Crystal Retribution, you gotta love it. The slaves turn to face, they can't go forward or anything like that. They know the dragon's coming, they're kind of baiting me in, and hell, I'll take it. And yeah, that's really hilarious to me. So, 26 wounds on that unit, they're begging to be routed. My Scald, he gets pummeled for 6 wounds. Not terrible, all things considered, but 6 wounds is a lot of wounds to an individual. So, wow! But this legend of a Scald, this unbelievable blockade of a Scald, my opponent rolls Snake Eyes. Snake Eyes to break him, and he stays. First, he stopped the Dwarven Berserkers for 3 turns, and now he's holding up trolls with his sheer will alone. This is the best character ever. I don't know how he does it. That takes us to top of 6 after movement, and it's coming down to the wire. So my King on a Chimera charges the flank of the trolls, because why not? I know I'm going to get countercharged by all that stuff, but I have confidence he'll be able to take it. Not a whole lot, but hey, I want to find out. What better way to find out than this? The Sons of Corgan, they charge into the begging to be routed slaves. I send in my other Scald, because what else is she doing? The Mounted Sons come flying forward as far as they can until they touch the forest and have to stop. I think they're pretty much out of this game at this point. And my other sons, they move up just a little bit to countercharge whatever goes after my king, and that's it for movement. Jumping straight into combat, my sons and Scald beat the slaves down for another 7 wounds. Would have been awful any other time, but considering they've got 26 wounds on them already, it doesn't matter. The unit sighs a thankful death sigh and is routed off the table. My Sons of Corgan move up a couple of inches because I didn't roll real well, and the Scald just kind of changes his facing. That's it. In this combat, my King of the Chimera and the Elder Scald only able to do 9 wounds to these trolls. I'm kind of, I guess my dice are tired or something. 20 attacks from the King, I was expecting to do a lot more. Granted, he's hindered. But yeah, it's a little unfortunate, but yeah, 9 is better than nothing, I guess. They're perfectly fine, and I have to back off an inch. I was really discouraged by that. Oh, I forgot about this one. The Sons charged one of his characters because he put him in the way there, and I do 12 wounds to it, which should be enough to finish off a character. It is. It becomes a smear on the boots of my sons, and then they come forward a couple of inches. Not great. But they're in better position now to countercharge what's ever about to just murder the rest of my army. So here's bottom of 6 after movement, and my opponent really throws me for a loop here. Totally legal. Everything's totally legal. It just really throws me for a loop. So the unit of large infantry or whatever they are, they're nimble. So he's able to 180 them away, or spin them 180 degrees, and then move them out of the way, so that his 2 big monster things can charge my King on a Chimera. I did not see that coming. So I've got two of those beast things into me. One of them's some sort of engine, the other one's some sort of like god. I don't even know what it's called. But yeah, what I thought was just going to be a countercharge from some trolls turned into two close combat monsters slamming into my king. That's really bad. The rest of his stuff, his other infantry unit just kind of turns the face, and that's it for movement. In his pansy phase, his character is able to fire a lightning bolt off at my mounted sons, doing a single wound to him, which they don't even acknowledge. We go into combat, and he does 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 wounds total to my Chimera. Not great. Not great. He could possibly survive this, though. 11 for him isn't impossible to survive. I couldn't be any more wrong. If I was, I'd be right. He's able to roll like a 10 and an 11 twice in a row. And, yeah, my king on a Chimera routs. That sucks. But that's it. That's the end of the game. It does not go to turn 7, and I really needed it to. That last little bit is what probably won the game for him, is what I was thinking at the time. This was a hell of a fight. It really, really was. And so much fun. So many things to beat on. Oh, what an incredible fight. We both have a decent amount of stuff left, too. So it's going to be close either way. And, you know, we'll get to the recap right away because this game is over.
That's it, man. Game over, man. It's game over.
So this game was really close, and it ended up being a draw for Lord Tremendous. I got 1,430 points out of him. He got 1,460 out of me for a difference of 30 points in his favor. Wow! This was almost the perfect draw. I ended up losing my king, my chieftain, my wolves, my dire fangs, my devourer, and my warband. He lost a bunch of stuff too, I just don't remember. Mostly slaves. But yeah. Wow! Was this game close, and one hell of a trial run for this Lone Wolf list. Yeah, like I said, this was a hell of a fight from turn 2 on. It did not relent. I did not expect to lose the right flank with my Dire Fang like that. I got outplayed, and unfortunately, things like that happen. I wish I had kept my dragon alive, obviously. I always wish that, but it was unfortunate. Very last minute like that. Had my dragon survived, I would have probably won this game. But it is what it is. Who knows? Slaves for their points are incredibly good, but when you've got that many on the table, I've really got to learn to use the whole board control thing in my favor, cause traffic jams and things of that nature. And, yeah, did anybody else realize that with no conclaves in my list, the game went a lot better? Anyone? No? Just me? Huh, interesting. I wonder what the correlation is there. Super happy with how my chieftain did into the shooter hill. Had he not been lightning bolt off the table, he probably would have scored me that character, too. Really happy with that unit. Definitely staying in the list. My king did work, got no complaints about him whatsoever, and the army just feels right. This is how I want it to play, so I'm very happy with it overall. Already submitted it to the Lone Wolf, so it is what it is. It's not like I could change it if I wanted to. And like I said in the beginning of the video, there is going to be no more practice games. I am currently out of state. I do not have my models with me, and even if I did, I'm in a place where there are no stores or anyone to play against. So it is what it is, you know, gotta pay the bills. And yeah, I'll be going into the Lone Wolf cold. My army isn't gonna be ready, my display board isn't gonna be ready, nothing's gonna be ready. So worst GT prep in the history of GT preps. I apologize, but damn it, I am gonna have fun. And Valdez, I'm coming for you first. But this was a great game, as I'm sure you're well aware of by now, against a great opponent, which, if you ever have a chance to play against this Ratkin army, definitely do it. The dude is awesome. And I need a rematch. Obviously, it won't happen before the Lone Wolf is over, but as soon as we can, buddy, we need to get another game in, because damn it, we have to resolve this. But yeah, that's gonna do it. Battle Report number 19 is officially in the history books. The next one you see will be game. Well, it could be like a scrimmage game before the Lone Wolf actually starts, but we'll see. But Battle Report 20 will definitely be taking place at the Lone Wolf location. So, as always, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, or complaints, feel free to put them in the comment section below. And as always, thanks.